The same old problems, I thought I solved them. Fell so far, I broke through the bottom. Wound up back at square one, losing a battle that I thought.
All right, welcome back to the Behind the Wall podcast interview series. We got the man, the myth, the legend, Steve Everett. He is back. He's releasing a new single this week. Believe it drops on Wednesday, correct?
Drops on April 16th, Friday the
Yep.
16th.
Oh, Friday 16th. All right. Yeah, I had the opportunity to listen to it, and let me tell you, it is incredible. Like I was fired up just seeing the video, but now being able to actually listen to the entire song, this is like peak Steve Everett right here.
I love it, man. Thanks for having me back. I'm excited.
Yeah, glad to have you back. So I guess we'll just go ahead and jump into it. You know, usually whenever you think or whenever I talk to a different artist, I always got to pick their brain and figure out what was the inspiration behind the song. And we asked you this for Chemical Weapon the last time we talked, but now we got a brand new song. What's the inspiration behind What's in the Well?
Man, this one made my my family so happy. I was born in like Southwest Georgia in Albany, but they call it Albany down there. And there was this lady, My Reese, who watched me and my brother when my mom would go out to dinner and stuff, or my mom and dad. And so basically, like, she was just like a very devout Christian and wouldn't let us watch TV or listen to the radio. And so if she would come over to watch us, you know, if we had something on the TV, she would just cut it off and be like, she always said, "What's in the well comes up in the bucket." And we were just like, we don't even know what that means. We're like toddlers. And she was like, "You'll know one day." And my Reese is no longer with us, but my family, like, we always have talked about her. And that's just been like a lesson in our family. Like, you don't want to poison the well, you know, you want to put in good stuff because it's going to come out, you know, whatever you put in. And so I was just picking around and remembered her and remembered that story and just kind of was like, man, it'd be really cool since she's no longer with us to just kind of like have her always be around in some way. And so I hit my mom and dad up, started asking, you know, more detailed questions just so I could get as much info as possible, kind of like a book report. And yeah, man, I just, as soon as I started writing it, some of them just kind of fall out of your head. And this one just kind of came together real easy.
So do you find yourself, because just being a connoisseur of your music, you seem to always be writing about some kind of female. Do you feel like this is a trend at this point? You got to stick to it?
Man, I think, you know, you write what you know. And during my 20s, like, all I was doing was just trying to find somebody to love and love me back, you know? So it was a lot of that. And I've just always thought it was cool. Like, my favorite bands growing up always had like songs with girls' names as the chorus. And so I think that's just like an easy thing to default to. But I try to basically just kind of like, I don't know, I feel like middle school Tom Petty sometimes. Just like a friendly, I'm just trying to like encourage everybody, keep everybody happy. You know, if your toes are tapping and you're moving around, it's tough to be depressed, you know?
That's very true.
Yeah, so like Henry said, he shared the song with us. The song sounds awesome. I can't wait for it to be released so I can go and blare it on my stereo. But you've had songs featured in multiple NASCAR heat games. Growing up, you said you weren't able to watch much TV. Was there like a video game that you always had in mind, and like, I want my song to be on like this video game or this TV show or something? Was there ever that TV show or video game that you'd want a song on?
Yeah, I might have mentioned this last time, but I found out about a bunch of bands from Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 on PlayStation, like the original PlayStation. And it was just like, I remember being a kid and just being like, this is incredible. Like, if you can get your song on one of these games and like this kid is just like, you know, 100 straight times playing this level and like this song pops up, like, you can't help but become a fan of these artists, you know? And it's exposure that you just really can't get in another way. And so, yeah, Tony Hawk was huge. And then I liked video games too much when I was a kid, and I bought a guitar and I was like, man, if I'm ever going to get any good at guitar, like, I just can't have a video game system because it's too easy to find an excuse, you know? And so we've got them now, but now I'm a little better at, you know, after a couple hours, I'm like, that's good. You're done now.
Yeah, I mean, I think we mentioned it before, and that's how Josh and I met, was on a video game. And I mean, I find it now. Like, as soon as COVID started, basically given up Xbox at that point. But there wasn't anything to do. So I slowly gravitated more towards getting back on Xbox. And at one point I was like, I got to figure out something to do that's not a gaming device. I ended up picking up a harmonica, and I was like, I'm going to be like the best harmonica player of all time. And all of a sudden, I think I quit after Piano Man. I just couldn't figure it out. But I mean, something about wasting time. It's great.
Yeah, man. Well, the thing about harmonica is like you can't just play harmonica by yourself. Like you need like a 7-piece band, and then somebody comes up and is like, maybe I can add some harmonica, and you're like, okay. But no,
Are you a firm believer that the world needs more cowbell?
Oh yeah, and if for no other reason than just Will Ferrell's my hero.
All right, so I put out a tweet earlier asking if anyone had any questions, and I like to think that just about anyone who listens to the podcast is automatically a Steve Everett fan, just because it's impossible to listen to any of our shows and not hear you, whether it be Fake It or Liquid Regret, Liquid Regret on Behind the Wager. But Richard wants to know where you're going to be playing in the near future because he wants to see you.
Richard, let's do it. Yeah, I'm finally now starting to book some stuff. I work with a charity called Rock by the Sea, and we've got an event May 5th through 9th in St. George Island, Florida. And that's open to the public. There's still some passes available, but I'll be full band down there. And right now I've only got 3 or 4 confirmed things, but I'm starting to pick up some college shows, and it's just right now it's starting to pick back up. So within the next month or two, I should have quite a few shows on the books, man, because I am just like dying to play music in front of people and to feel that connection and to find out if like these new songs are any good or not. You never know until you get them in front of a crowd.
Sorry. So you mentioned the organization you work with, Rock by the Sea. For those who didn't listen to the podcast last time, what is Rock by the Sea and what do you do with Rock by the Sea?
Yeah, I'm technically the vice president, but like in no way do I do near as much as like the actual president. Her name is Beth Gosnell, and she started it about 16 years ago, and given right at I think it's just under $1 million that we've given to children's cancer charities. But we're a 501c3, and you can find out more at rockbythesea.org. But we basically just kind of focus in on little labs that don't get much funding. And the more obscure the cancer is, and especially when it's a pediatric cancer, these pharmaceutical companies, it's easy for them to fund research on, adult cancer because there's so many more adults, but they tend to not funnel as many dollars to the children's diseases. And so this lab at the University of Florida has just been incredible. And we pay for on average like 1 to 2 kids to go through their clinical trial every year. But this particular tumor they're working on right now, it used to be 100% fatal in kids under 12, and now they're curing like 30% of the kids that have this tumor. So it's incredible to see the money like actually have an impact, and these kids that otherwise wouldn't have had a future are just like all good, and they're like, appreciate you guys. So it's just a really cool organization. We just have a music festival. My part of it is just like I know a bunch of musicians and I know how to rent sound gear and have friends that can run it. So I just kind of am the nuts and bolts once we get down there. But everybody else is the real heroes doing all the groundwork and putting it to good use.
So who are some of these musician friends that you have in Nashville? Go ahead. I just want to hear who you're rubbing shoulders with.
Oh man. Asking me to name drop, man, my buddies that are kind of at the same level as me. And there's a guy named David Bourne I always try to gas up. He's just like the best singer-songwriter. I mean, it's incredible. David Bourne, he's a David Bourne Music on all the socials and stuff. But he's just an incredible voice, incredible writer. And he's just he lives on a farm now out like an hour outside of Nashville. We went over there for dinner and just like, had a big fire in this valley. He's just like a man of the earth. He's really connected to the good stuff and just gets incredible ideas. But, and I've been lucky, and I've lived here like 11 years, and I've gotten to play with, Sister Hazel a bunch of times, huge fans of those guys from the 90s, and did a bunch of dates with Hunter Hayes, who was very sweet and like watched me side stage and, gave me a hug after my first time I opened up for him. And I was like, what is going on? you know, so there's you have access to pretty much everybody. If you're a decent hang, you know, pretty much everybody will give you the time of day.
All right, so I got another question for you. I'm a big country music guy, listen to Midland all the time, and their latest album, it's if I remember correctly, it's called Sonic Ranch, and that's the place where they got together to begin with, and they wrote some music. So that's where they go to record now. Like that's their
Oh, yeah,
temple. Do
the
you
Sonic
have a
Ranch in
place?
West Texas.
Yes.
Dude, yeah. So the guy who makes my records, his name's Chad Copeland. He's the producer. He makes a ton of records at Sonic Ranch, and that place is insane. It's like on an organic apple orchard right on the border with Mexico. And so, you know, the Rio Grande right there is just like, you know, a creek basically. And it's incredible that it's out there in the middle of nowhere, and they just have this like hacienda, and you go down there and you live and record in this huge space, which is so cool. But yeah, my version of that is Blackwatch Studios in Norman, Oklahoma, which is my producer's like hometown, and he's got a studio there, and it's just like right next to the railroad tracks, which you would think would be a problem, but it just isn't. And it's just kind of this like industrial little district, um, real close to OU, you know, to their football stadium and stuff. It's just like a really fun. I don't know. They have great food and nightlife, but also it's like a quiet little, you know, southern town, and but it's still a college town, so there's a lot of art and culture there. But I just when I go to Norman, it's like all smiles and just, you know, being artistic, and all the good ideas definitely flow.
That's awesome. All right, so little fun deal we're gonna do. We call it this or that, and this is the trial run. So don't go crazy. This is just strictly on a test basis here. But Josh and I have come up with some tough questions. Actually, they're easy and tough, but we've come up with 16 questions, and we're gonna alternate, but they're gonna
Okay.
get progressively harder. So we'll go ahead and Josh, you start. Go ahead and start with the first one, and I guess this is a good way for the fans to get to know the real Steve Everett and how you operate.
It's the first one, Twitter or Instagram?
Oh man, I'm gonna say Twitter, just because like if you love sports and you're interested in like following like journalists and politics and stuff, like Twitter really is a great tool. But I know so many friends in Nashville who are gonna be like, "What?"
All right, number two, tequila or bourbon?
Ooh, tequila's for parties, and bourbon is for like figuring your stuff out. You know, I'm gonna go bourbon, man. I gotta go bourbon.
All right, speaking of parties, would you rather go to a big party or a small gathering?
If I know everybody, a big party, because I'm somebody who really likes to, you know, have enough people around that I can feel like I can make some jokes and really like, you know, work the room. Uh, but yeah, if it's like a bunch of people I've never met before, you know, I kind of like to be on the outskirts for sure.
All right, next one, Popeyes or Chick-fil-A?
Ooh, man. I mean, you can eat Chick-fil-A and be okay the next day. So I guess Chick-fil-A.
Christmas or Thanksgiving?
Oh, Thanksgiving. I mean, come on. We need to push Christmas back into like February so we can have something to look forward to. There's too many holidays in the fall all pushed together. And Thanksgiving is like just great because there's not the pressure of presents, you know, as well as Christmas. And you get to, you know, I do like a Friendsgiving every year. I don't even go home anymore. Like Thanksgiving's great. It's the people's holiday.
All right, the Eagles or the Stones?
The Stones. Yeah. I
Good
mean,
answer.
I'm more of a guitar driven type of guy. You know, and the Eagles, incredible harmonies and the songs are great. But the Rolling Stones are just like a whole, you know, lifestyle basically.
Asian food or Japanese food?
Wait a minute. That's the same thing. I guess technically Asian food could also include um like Kazakhstan and stuff. And I don't know anything about Kazakhstani food. Japanese food wins because they got sushi. So sushi.
All right, sticking on the food, Domino's or Pizza Hut?
Ooh. Man, I like Domino's has like that extra level of salt that you feel for like 6 more days, and for whatever reason, that's really comforting to me.
Okay, I was really hoping you wouldn't say Papa John's because Domino's is definitely the right answer on that one. All
Okay.
right,
Pizza Hut.
nice car or Pizza Hut. Domino's tops everything. Nice car or nice house.
Oh man, God, my first car was a '67 Candy Apple Red Mustang Coupe, and it was a piece of crap. And I like worked so hard to fix it up. But you know, God, you're in your house so much. I'm gonna say nice house because I have like a little fuel economical car because I travel so much. I don't even have a cool car anymore.
All right. Napoleon Dynamite or bench warmers?
Those are kind of cut from the same cloth. I mean, yeah, there's so many good quotes from Napoleon Dynamite. I'm gonna say bench warmers. There's so many punchlines in that movie. It's stuff that like
Yeah.
you missed the first time and then you rewatch it and you're like, oh my God.
Beach or the mountains?
The mountains for sure. I'd sunburn too easy.
All right. Winter Olympics or Summer Olympics?
I like the Winter Olympics because the Winter Olympics are the only ones that there's like a risk of death. Like the swimmers aren't going to drown or anything, you know, but the skiers are like, launch yourself into the air going like 100 miles an hour and see what happens.
All right, this is where it gets really tough. 12 fingers or 12 toes?
12 toe. I mean, we're wearing shoes every day. That wouldn't even be like a problem in adult life, you know? Nobody would even know till you got married and then they're in too deep, you know?
What about the guitar though? Would 12 fingers help you out?
I'd have to learn some more, you know, I'd have to like start from scratch. It'd probably be a liability. I'm not even that great of a guitar player. I just, you know, I got as good as I had to write songs.
All right. Fight one bobcat or 100 geese?
Oh, F geese, man. No, I'll take a bobcat. I'd rather see like, you know, what's coming. And it's just one of them. I can maybe like be so submissive that it just loses interest and leaves me alone.
All right, last one from me. Arms like a T-Rex or neck like a giraffe?
Man, I guess neck like a giraffe so I could still do my job, you know? I can't really be like, I guess I could play ukulele. No, I'll do the neck like a giraffe.
All right, this is the last one I got. And this one kind of hits home for you.
Okay.
Would you rather, or I guess it's not would you rather, but get suspended on Twitter or Instagram?
I'd rather get suspended on Twitter because they turned me back on. I still have no idea how it happened or why. I didn't get an explanation. They were just like, "Hey, you're back. Sorry about that."
Yeah, I remember I went on there one day to tweet at you. I think it was had something to I don't even remember what it was, but I was sat there. I'm like, Steve Everett. I'm like, where did he go? I was like, did he like? I was like, he's gone. I don't understand. I saw your second account pop up. I'm like, now it all makes sense.
Dude, I was so worried that everybody was going to think that I was like an internet bully or like secretly racist or something, you know, like, oh no, he was always been so nice on here.
And I mean, if it did happen though, that might have been the quietest cancellation of all time.
Yeah.
If no one heard about it.
It's possible that I just made like a sports reference and somebody who was like a Patriots fan was like, well, guess what? Boop.
Who's this Steve Everett joker? Got to get rid of him here.
Yeah.
But all right. So thanks so much, Steve, for coming out. Real quick though, I know you've got your single coming out here real soon, but you got anything else on tap? Maybe something in April?
Yeah, man. So April 16th is when What's in the Well drops worldwide. And April 30th, the whole record. So I've got a brand new record and, you know, crowdfunded it like the first week of March, you know, just as like everything was coming to a head with the pandemic and everything. And I'm so lucky that we made this thing. And, you know, it took a year. Like we kept booking studio time and then we'd have to cancel because of COVID and new restrictions or whatever. And so it was just like, man, it feels like an entire year of just like keeping your head down, you know, keeping going even when there's adversity. And so like I'm just so excited. Like I everything's turned in and kind of in the pipeline that has to go in to hit all those devices at the same time. And so now it's kind of just like popping bottles, having a nice time for a minute and enjoying the moment. So if you want to find out more, you can just go to steveeverettmusic.com. And I'm on all the socials. I started a TikTok so I can be an old guy on TikTok that's just like, hey, I believe in you. You know, I'm probably just going to say that every day.
It's not a bad idea, but definitely make sure you're listening to his music. Probably the best car riding music of all time. It's something I listen to just about every day when I'm driving around. Great windows down music. But make sure you follow him on Instagram, Twitter. Now that he's back, like him on Facebook. Check out the website. Do everything. But we're gonna send y'all out with a treat. Here's What's in the Well.
In Albany, Friday night about 6:15. Mom and Dad's anniversary, and my Reese is at the door. 55 and 5'0", sweet as pie, but Bible thumping. Every time we were watching something, she'd come and cut it off, and she'd say, "What's in the well comes up in the bucket. You can waste time, but it don't stop running. Seasons change, but it won't change nothing. What's in the well